Hi everybody, I'm Penny Hunsaker, Integrative Nutritional Health Coach with American Health and Wellness Group. And we've been working on a series of videos for eating behaviors that don't serve our bodies well. In the nutrition world, we call this disorderly eating. Now, this is not the same thing as having an eating disorder. So if you feel you have a true eating disorder, don't be ashamed to look into it. You can actually reach out to the nationaleatingdisorder.org or bingeeatingrecoverycenter.com and take their online quiz to see if your eating behaviors are more clinical than typical. But on average, most of us do suffer from some type of binge eating, compulsive eating, maybe emotional eating. We think of food as our friend and often use it to fulfill things into our lives. In my last video, we talked about biological reasons that we actually crave food and then our eating gets out of order. And that was from reasons where chemically we've become addicted to sugar or sweets or sodas or alcoholic beverages. And denying our body that will only make it worse. We'll want to crave it more. And so we can't figure out why we're always hungry. So watch that video on how to deconstruct your craving. We're going to talk about a different type of trigger today. The last video was an internal trigger, like biologically. Today we're going to talk about external triggers. So external triggers actually fall into the category called the circle of life. Now, the circle of life is actually set up as 12 areas of our lives as human beings that we need to feel balance and healthiness in. For instance, it could be financial well-being or relationships. It could include exercise and spirituality. It's actually 12 areas of our life that are being put into our lives actually make us feel like a fulfilled human being. Knowing your purpose and having a creative outlet, those types of things. So I'm going to pause here and show you what the circle of life looks like. So now you can see that we're very complicated human beings. And in that circle of life, if something in your life is frustrating you or lacking, it could be that we're using food as a substitute for the area of our life that we really need to be working on. For instance, if we are financially in a lot of debt and not being able to pay the bills, that can cause a lot of stress and a lot of overeating. But just eating is not going to fix the financial problem, right? So if we come up with strategies as human beings to focus on that area of life, then we're able to see that these are the areas that we're struggling with. And now addressing those areas, many times the binges, the compulsive eating and drinking can tend to go away because we actually feel back in control of our lives and we're not using food or drink as medication. So many times we get caught in this nasty cycle thinking that we're having an issue with food. And what does that look like when we're all caught up in this disorderly eating? Well, it's seen as a sign of weakness in ourselves, and we tie it to our self-worth. Like, oh, if I could just, have more willpower. It's all about willpower. And then behind it becomes the shame and the guilt game, and then we punish ourselves, and then the cycle starts all over again. When really it could be this area of your life or that area of a life that's out of order, not necessarily your food. We go through the yo-yo cycling of gaining weight and losing weight. And you might have told yourself things like diets don't work or I'm always on a diet. Even worse, we put labels on food. For instance, that's a good food and that's a bad food. And that's not healthy either. We can tend to develop unhealthy eating behaviors like binge eating and even orthorexia. That's where we overanalyze every food piece that goes into our mouth and we categorize it as good or bad. That's also a little bit over the top. So the first step in reducing cravings when we have these external circumstances is to assess those areas of your life that you're not feeling fulfilled in. I use the circle of life assessment tool that I just showed you and have people put a dot on the line. If it's out towards the outside of the circle, they're most fulfilled in that area. If it's on the inside towards the center of the circle, it might need some work. So we use that to see where primary food, like environment, behavior, exercise, relationships, might be lacking in order to get the food eating under control. So if you would like that circle of life wheel, just email us, and at the end, I'll give you the address. So for instance, when we take an assessment of that, we still need to curb those cravings. Whether it's an internal or an external reason we are craving food, while we're working on that area of our life, we need to have strategies in place to overcome those cravings. Now, the first thing is to manage your mind. Psychology says we get 3 minutes to deal with ourselves. So you need to distract yourself when you're having a craving. Have a glass of water. That's always the first thing. A brisk 15-minute walk has shown to curb cravings. Brushing your teeth or tongue, calling a friend, or engaging the kids in a game. Whatever it is, distract yourself. Then manage your environment. If it's not in the house, you're not going to eat it, so don't even buy it. If you're going to eat it and overeat it, it probably shouldn't be there for a while until you have control back over it. Also, designate your refrigerator as things at eye level, like your apples, your carrots, the foods you can have, so you're not looking at the other things. Also designate a pantry just for you, for your healthy snacks. Then you don't have to look at what the kids are eating or your spouse is eating. Now, what about the office? The break room can be a problem, or the snack shop or vending machines. So bring your own snacks to work. Keep them in your locker, your lunch bag, your desk drawer. Take a treat out and enjoy it. Also, just don't even go in the break room if the snacks are there that bother you. And if you're having a temptation at work, find a distraction. Make that phone call, take a walk outdoors, or do something. Also, when you get home, if there is your dog, your cat, or another human being, giving it a nice big hug sends off the happy hormones, the same hormones we're trying to satisfy when we give into a craving. So reach out to me at healthyme@americanhw.com and put Circle of Life in the subject line, and we'll get that to you right away. You can begin deciding how you can deconstruct these cravings and get your eating in order. Thanks a lot for all the coaches at American Health and Wellness Group, and we'll see you next time.